Good evening, everyone. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Hope my voice is clear and my screen are visible to you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So, what are the things we are going to learn today? Today, we are going to discuss the JDBC and we are going to learn JDBC components and how to write a program using JDBC to interact a database. So, that things we are going to learn today. So, let's start. So, what is the JDBC? When we are learn JDBC, we need to understand that what is the JDBC. So Java database connectivity is an API that means application programming interface, that allows Java programs to interact with a database. It provides methods to a query and update data in a database, and a design to a database independent. So the JDBC API have their own architecture. That architecture consists of two layers. The first one is a JDBC API. The first one is a JDBC API that's uh, that's provide standard interface for Java application to interact with database. It's offering classes and interfaces for database operations. After that, second layer is a JDBC driver API. It is act as a bridge between the JDBC API and specific database system, defining interface classes that JDBC driver must implement for database connectivity. So together these layers enable Java application to communicate with the various database systems in a consistent and standardized manner, and facilitating database operation and data retrieval. So the JDBC driver are required to connect to a database, and there are four types of JDBC drivers are available. The first one is the JDBC ODBC bridge. That's uses ODBC driver to connect to a database, convert JDBC calls into ODBC calls. So it's have some advantages. That's it can be quick setup. It's ODBC compatibility, but there are limitation. That's limitation is performance overhead. It's a platform dependent. It's a deprecated in Java version 8 and remove in Java version 9. After that, there are type 2 driver. It's called native API driver. It uses client-side libraries of the database, convert JDBC call into database specific calls. It's have some advantages, that is a better performance, database specific features it's have, but it have some limitation also. That limitation is a it's have a platform dependency. It's have a maintenance overhead. So after that, we have the third type 3 driver, that's called network protocol driver, that uses middleware server to convert JDBC call into database specific call. The advantages of this driver, it's a high portability and scalability, but it's have a limitation. It's have a complex setup. It's a potential bottleneck. So that's why we are not use that network protocol driver. After that, the type 4 driver, it's called thin driver. It's a directly convert JDBC calls into database specific calls. It's a pure Java driver. It's have advantages, that's a high performance. It's a platform independence, and it's have a simplicity to use. So that's a driver, and we are going to use type 4 driver. Type 4 driver. Okay. So that's a JDBC architecture. That's a JDBC architecture. That means Java application to communicate to a database, Java application are used JDBC API. JDBC API internally use JDBC driver manager, and JDBC driver manager are called a specific database a function that using JDBC driver, and JDBC driver are provided by manufacturer. So here we have JDBC architecture. Okay. So JDBC have their own components. That means JDBC have one class, that class called driver manager class. That class manage the set of JDBC driver, the set of JDBC driver. It is used to establish connection to the database by selecting an appropriate driver from a set of registered JDBC driver. After that, a JDBC API have number of interfaces. From that interfaces, first interface is a connection interface. It's represent connection to a specific database. Provides method for creating a statement, managing transaction, and closing a connection. After that, we have one another interface, that's a statement. That statement interface are used to execute static SQL statements and return the result produced by those statements. It's idle for simple SQL queries without parameter. After that, the next interface we have within our component, that is a prepared statement. So prepared statement, it is a pre-compiled SQL statement which can be executed multiple times with a different input parameters. It helps prevent SQL injection attacks and improve performance for repetitive queries. So for that reason, we are use a prepared statement. After that, there are result set interface are there. That result set interface represent the result set. It's a represent result set of a query executed using statement or prepared statement. It provides method to navigate and retrieve data from a result set. And at last one, there are SQL exception. It is a class. That class provide information on a database access error or other errors. It is thrown by most methods in a java.sql package and includes details about the error, such as SQL state, error code, and a descriptive message. So, so there are 6 JDBC components are there, and that components we are going to use to write our code. So let's discuss that JDBC component in detail. Okay. So the first component is what? Driver manager. The driver manager is a class and it is a part of java.sql package. So all JDBC APIs are located within java.sql package and java.sqlx package and is primarily responsible for managing list of database driver. The class provide mechanism to dynamically load JDBC drivers and establish a connection to a database. So the purpose of driver manager class is used to manage a list of database drivers to establish a connection to a database. After that, we have connection interface, right? So connection interface in a Java is a part of Java SQL package and represent connection to a database. It is a central part of a JDBC API, allowing application to interact with a database. The connection interface provides various methods to execute SQL queries, manage transaction, and configure connection settings. The purpose of connection interface provides method to connect a database and execute SQL statement and manage a transaction. After that, the statement interface. It is also component of JDBC. The statement interface in Java is a part of java.sql package. It is used to execute static SQL queries against the database. So the purpose of statement interface is used to execute SQL queries, including a select, insert, update, delete statements. It is a typically used for executing static SQL statements that do not require input parameters. After that, there are prepared statement interface. The prepared statement interface in Java is a sub-interface of the statement interface. It is used to execute pre-parameterized SQL queries, providing a more efficient and secure way to interact with a database compared to a statement interface. The purpose of prepared statement is used for executing pre-compiled SQL statement with input parameters. It's improve performance and security, particularly for SQL injection prevention. After that, the next component, that's the result set. The result set interface in a Java it is a result set of a database query. It provides method for navigating through a rows of data, retrieving column values and updating column values. The purpose of result set interface is used to retrieve and manipulate a data written by executing SQL queries. So that's why we are use result set. So I hope you are aware about that JDBC component now. I hope now you are aware about the JDBC component. Is any question regarding JDBC component? Is any question regarding JDBC components? Okay. So if you are not have any question, then we can move. So here to write a JDBC code, that means to write database application, we need to follow some step. That first step is what? Register driver. Next step is a get connection. Third step is a create statement. Fourth step is execute query. And last step is a close connection. So we are use a try with resources. So it's not required to use a close connection here. So for that reason, I'm going to create one database application. So here I'm going to create one database application. So here I create one package to demonstrate code. Package name is a JDBC demo. Within that package, I'm going to create one new file. I'm going to create two new files, not a single. So it's a new. It's the JDBC PostgreSQL. And we require public static void main to execute our query. Okay. Right? But it's a time to switch from a normal Java project to build automation tool. So that's why I'm going to create a new project. New. Look here how I can create a new project. New project is a Maven project. I want to create a simple project. So that checkbox are checked. After that, next, the group ID. It's the reverse of our domain. That is a com.example. Artifact ID, its actual project name. So it's JDBC example. JDBC example. We require a packaging. So currently we I use a jar and name description is not required right now and click to finish. So it's a create one new Maven project. That group ID is a com.example. The artifact ID is a JDBC example. It's a version is a 0.0 and packaging is a jar. What's the packaging? Jar packaging. So let's create it. Finish. So it's the created. Let's check. So that's the way to create Maven project where it is JDBC example. So I'm going to close my Technowings Java. It's not required, right? So it's a close. So that's a JDBC example, right? So when we are create new Maven project, at the root of this project, we have one file that is a pom.xml. Pom.xml. So what is that pom.xml? It is a XML file, and that XML file are useful to configure a dependency and Maven project. So it's a useful to configure dependency and Maven project. So here we are use build automation tool. That build automation tool is a Maven. Sorry. So what is the build automation tool? Okay. So what is the build automation tool? A build automation tool is a software designed to automate the process of compiling source code into binary code, packaging the binaries, running tests, and deploying application. It's streamlines the standardize the build process. It's a reducing the need of manual intervention and minimize the errors. So build automation tools are essential in modern software for ensuring consistent, repeatable, and efficient builds. So that's why we are use build automation tool. So, so using build automation tool, uh, we can automate the repetitive tasks. We can ensure that builds are consistent and reproducible. We are minimize the risks of human errors by automating complex and repetitive build steps. It's automatically handle dependencies. So ensure that all necessary libraries and frameworks are included in build. So that's why we are use build automation tool. So there are types of build automation tools. Like there are build systems. That tools automate the compilation of source code, linking of binaries, and other build tasks. After that, there are build automation tools is a package managers. It's handle the downloading, insertion, and management of software dependency. There are continuous integration tools are there. That tools are automate the integration and testing the code changes. So what is the example of build automation tool? If you are go with the type build system, then Apache Maven is there. That's Apache Maven is a build automation tool primarily for Java projects using pom.xml file for configuration for manage a dependency and project management. So it's a manage project dependency and support plugins for various build tasks. After that, there are for build system, there are Gradle is there. Gradle is a flexible build automation tool that support multiple languages and uses Groovy or Kotlin based DSL, that means a domain specific language for configuration. After that, there are Apache Ant build system is there, and it's useful for actually it's a older build tool that uses XML for configuration. But nowadays we are prefer either Gradle or Maven. After that, the second type of build automation tool is a package managers like NPM. If you are here, NPM, Node Package Manager. It is used to managing JavaScript dependency in Node.js project and configure using package.json file. PIP, that's a PIP. It is a package manager for Python, managing libraries and dependencies. Configure using requirement.txt file. After that, there are third type is continuous integration tool like Jenkins are there. It is an open source automation server that support building, deploying, and automating projects. So these are build automation tools type. So here we required to discuss more about Maven. So Apache Maven is a software project management and uh, that means build automation tool based on concept of project object model. That's called POM, project object model. POM stand for project object model. So Maven can manage project build, reporting and documentation from central piece of information. Maven is a powerful project management and build automation tool used primarily for Java project. It simplifies the build process, dependency management, and project configuration, making it easier to manage a life cycle of project. So that's why we are use Maven. So these Maven have their own life cycle. That life cycle have a multiple methods, and we are going to use that multiple methods. So here I create our first project. That's a Maven project. So is any question regarding Maven project? Is any question regarding Maven project? Did you understand how to create a Maven project? Okay. So we move. Now, now look here. Within SRC, we are store our source code. Within SRC, we have a main folder. Within a main folder, we have Java folder. And within Java folder, I'm going to create one new a file. That file is a class file. So here I'm going to write it's within Java folder, new. It's a class file. And which class file I'm going to write? It's JDBC JDBC demo. And we are use a database PostgreSQL. We require public static void main, right? But we are forget to create package. So let's create package one new. That's a package we require. It's a JDBC demo. That's a package name. And within that package, I need to switch my file. But Okay. So JDBC demo is a package, our package, and within that package, we have file. That file name is JDBC demo PostgreSQL. Okay. Now, how to write a database application using JDBC? To write a database application using JDBC, first we require to start database, right? So let's start database. So database is started. Now let's minimize. Now, what's the next things are required? Next things we required a database driver. Which database we are going to use here? We are going to use PostgreSQL, right? So that PostgreSQL driver we required. So the driver are managed by POM file. Driver are managed by POM file. So here after version, but before close project, I'm going to add one XML attribute, XML tag. That tag is a dependencies. What's the tag name? Dependencies. So within that dependency tag, we need to add our dependency. And what dependency we require? We required PostgreSQL driver, right? So from where I can download that things, that dependency. So let's check. I'm open my browser. Here I write Maven repository. What I write? Maven repository. So let's open Maven repository. Within Maven repository, there are search bar is there. I write there PostgreSQL and click to search. So we required PostgreSQL JDBC driver. That driver we require. So let's open. Here we have number of versions of that particular driver. So I can choose a latest one, that is a 42.7.7. Once I select that latest version, look here, go down. There are Maven tab is there, and within Maven tab we have a repository. So I just click that repository, it will copy, and once it's copied, I paste that repository, sorry, paste that dependency within our dependencies tab. Save. So that's a way to add dependency within our Maven project. And from now we are use only Maven project. So is it clear how to add dependency within a Maven project? It is clear how to add dependency Maven project. Tanish, if you are over smart, then please remove yourself from our meeting. Okay, so that things I'm going to repeat in Marathi. Okay, तर आपण थोडस ऍडव्हान्स जावा मध्ये इन होतं आणि इथे आणि इथे आपण बघितलं की मॅवन म्हणजे काय. मॅवन काय आहे? एक बिल्ड ऑटोमेशन टूल आहे. याची गरज का पडते मॅवनची? तर प्रोजेक्टचे बिल्ड प्रोसेस कॉन्फिगर करण्यासाठी आणि त्याचं ऑटोमेशन करण्यासाठी याची गरज पडते. मग हे मॅवन वापरावं कशासाठी आणि कसं वापरावं? मॅवन जेव्हा आपण कधी प्रोजेक्ट तयार करतो, तेव्हा सगळ्यात आधी हे बघा, मी परत एकदा प्रोसेस दाखवतो. फाईलला क्लिक करायचं, न्यू मॅवन प्रोजेक्ट, क्रिएट सिंपल प्रोजेक्ट अँड स्किप आर्च टाइप सिलेक्शन. नेक्स्ट ग्रुप आयडी इथे टाकावा लागतो. आता ग्रुप आयडी म्हणजे काय? इट इज अ रिव्हर्स ऑफ युअर कंपनी डोमेन नेम. म्हणजे काय? जसं की एक्झाम्पल फॉर एक्झाम्पल Google.com आहे आणि समजा तुम्ही Googleसाठी कुठला प्रोजेक्ट बनवता. तर ग्रुप आयडी तुमचा काय असेल? com.google. त्यानंतर आर्टिफॅक्ट आयडी. समजा Google मीटचा प्रोजेक्ट तुम्ही एक्सटेंड करता. तर आर्टिफॅक्ट आयडी काय असेल तुमचा? जो तुमचा प्रोजेक्टचं नाव आहे तो आर्टिफॅक्ट आयडी टाकावा लागेल. आफ्टर दॅट version, it's a default we are selecting that is 0.0.1. Packaging, that's a jar. तर पॅकेजिंग इथे 3 प्रकारचे जार, फॉर्म अँड वार. जार स्टँड फॉर जावा आर्चिव्ह, वेब आर्चिव्ह. फॉर्म स्टँड फॉर प्रोजेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडेल. var stand for web archive. It's a Java archive, project object model, web archive. So that there are 3 packaging are there. We are select jar. And after that, click to next. When we are click on next, we have जेव्हा आपण क्लिक नेक्स्ट करतो, तेव्हा माझ्याकडे एक प्रोजेक्ट स्ट्रक्चर आला. हा प्रोजेक्ट स्ट्रक्चर. याच्यामध्ये एसआरसी फोल्डर आहे. काय फोल्डर आहे? एसआरसी. एसआरसी मध्ये मेन फोल्डर आहे आणि मेन फोल्डर मध्ये जावा फोल्डर. या जावा फोल्डर मध्ये आपण एक पॅकेज तयार केला जेडीबीसी डेमो आणि तिथे आपली एक फाईल प्लेस केली जेडीबीसी डेमो postgresql.java. आणि या प्रोजेक्टच्या रूट मध्ये एक फाईल आहे. त्या फाईलचं नाव आहे प्रोजेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडेल डॉट एक्सएल. आता ही फाईल काय? तर ही फाईल मॅवनची कॉन्फिगरेशन फाईल आहे. ज्याच्यामध्ये आपण मॅवन प्रोजेक्ट कॉन्फिगर करू शकतो. मग आता मॅवन प्रोजेक्ट कॉन्फिगर करायचं म्हणजे काय करायचं आपल्याला नेमकं? तर आपल्याला फक्त आपली डिपेंडन्सी ऍड करायची. आता ही डिपेंडन्सी काय? तर आपण डेटाबेस वापरतो आणि तो डेटाबेस आहे PostgreSQL. मग आता PostgreSQLशी कम्युनिकेट करण्यासाठी आपल्याला ड्रायव्हरची आवश्यकता आहे. मग तुम्ही म्हणाल सर जेडीबीसी ड्रायव्हर तर आहेत आपल्याकडे जे थीन ड्रायव्हर म्हणतो आपण त्यांना. नाही. JDBC it is a API that communicate with a database. And to communicate with the database, we required native driver. And that native driver holding that all facility functionality to communicate a database. तर ह्याच्यासाठी आपल्याला स्पेसिफिक डेटाबेस ड्रायव्हर पाहिजे आणि तो स्पेसिफिक डेटाबेस ड्रायव्हर काय असणार आहे? PostgreSQL. मग याच्यासाठी आपण सगळ्यात आधी एक टॅग लिहिला. या टॅगचं नाव होतं डिपेंडन्सीज. त्या टॅग मध्ये आपण डिपेंडन्सी ऍड केली आपल्या डेटाबेस ड्रायव्हरची. कशाची? डेटाबेस ड्रायव्हरची डिपेंडन्सी ऍड केली. तर ही डिपेंडन्सी ऍड केली आपण. So that's dependency we are added. That's the version is 42.7.7. आता आपल्याला मॅन्युअली डेटाबेस ड्रायव्हर ऍड करायची गरज नाहीये. आपण डिपेंडन्सी कितीही ऍड करू शकतो. त्याला लिमिटेशन नाहीये. म्हणजे काय? आता उद्या जाऊन आपल्याला स्प्रिंग बूट वापरायचं, कुठला फ्रेमवर्क वापरायचा झाला, त्या फ्रेमवर्कची डिपेंडन्सी मी इथे ऍड करू शकतो. कुठलं एखादं दुसरं टूल वापरायचं झालं, जसं की XML फाईल रीड करायची किंवा PDF फाईल राईट करायची आहे, तर त्यासाठी जी काही लायब्ररीज आहेत, त्या एक्सटर्नल लायब्ररीज आहेत, त्याला आपण डिपेंडन्सी म्हणू शकतो. तर त्या ऍड करण्यासाठी मी याचा pom.xml फाईलचा वापर करेन. सो इज इट क्लिअर हाऊ टू यूज Maven? Is it clear how to use a Maven? ओके. तर मी परत एकदा डिपेंडन्सी ऍड कशी करायची त्याचं एक डेमॉन्स्ट्रेशन देतो. तर डिपेंडन्सी आपल्याला कुठून भेटणार आहे डिपेंडन्सी? आता हे आपल्याला माहिती पाहिजे, की कुठली डिपेंडन्सी ऍड करायची, राइट? मग त्यानंतर मॅवन रिपॉझिटरी नावाची साईट आहे, जी डिपेंडन्सीचं स्टोरेज करते. तर मॅवन रिपॉझिटरीवर जायचंय. जसं की मॅवन रिपॉझिटरीवर आलो मी. मॅवन रिपॉझिटरी. हे मॅवन रिपॉझिटरी. साईट ओपन झाली. सर्च बार आहे तिथे, राइट? सर्च बारवर तुम्हाला काय पाहिजे हे तुम्ही शोधलं पाहिजे. जसं की अजून 1-2 दिवसांनी आपल्याला हायबरनेट लागणार आहे. तर मी तिथे हायबरनेट शोधेन. जर मला सर्व्हलेटचे प्रोग्राम करायचे असतील, तर मी जकार्ता प्लॅटफॉर्म शोधेन. जर मला सिरियलाइज डेटा पाठवायचा असेल नेटवर्कमध्ये, तर मी jackson.core शोधेन किंवा फास्टर XML शोधेन. तर किंवा मला जर लॉग फाइल म्हणजे लॉग जनरेट करायचे असतील माझ्या प्रोग्राममधून, तर मी शोधेन SL4J. तर या पद्धतीने खूप साऱ्या लायब्ररीज इथे आर्चिव्ह आहे. तर त्यापैकी तुम्हाला काय पाहिजे तुम्ही शोधू शकता. तर मला पाहिजे आत्ता मला कम्युनिकेट करायचं आहे डेटाबेसशी आणि माझा डेटाबेस आहे PostgreSQL. जर तुमच्याकडे MySQL असेल तर MySQL शोधू शकता तुम्ही. मी PostgreSQL शोधतो कारण PostgreSQL माझ्याकडे डेटाबेस आहे. PostgreSQL डेटाबेस शोधला. त्यानंतर इथे तुम्हाला चेक करायचं की तुम्हाला त्यापैकी काय पाहिजे. तर मला JDBC ड्रायव्हर पाहिजे PostgreSQL. मग हा ओपन केला पहिली लिंक. त्याच्यानंतर पहिल्या लिंकला ओपन केल्यानंतर बघा तिथे काय-काय येतं, की लायसन्स टाइप येतं, कॅटेगरी येतं, त्यानंतर होम पेज कुठलं आहे ते येतं. त्यानंतर खाली व्हर्जन्स आहेत खूप सारे. त्या व्हर्जनपैकी जे लेटेस्ट व्हर्जन आहे ते मी निवडतो. 42.7.7. नेक्स्ट पेजला आलात. नेक्स्ट पेजला काय-काय दिलेलं आहे? तर फाईल दिलेली आहे. फॉर्म फाईल आहे, जार फाईल आहे. म्हणजे तुम्हाला डायरेक्टली जार फाईल पाहिजे असेल तर इथून डाउनलोड करू शकता मॅन्युअली. पण मला जार फाईल ते काही नको. मला डिपेंडन्सी पाहिजे. तर डिपेंडन्सी ह्या खूप साऱ्या प्रकारच्या असतात. प्रत्येक बिल्ड टूलनुसार त्या वेगवेगळ्या असतात. सिंटॅक्स वेगवेगळा असतो डिपेंडन्सीचा. तर मला कुठल्या टूलचा पाहिजे? मॅवन बिल्ड टूलचा पाहिजे. तर मॅवन डिफॉल्टली ओपन आहे. इथे मी फक्त क्लिक करतो. क्लिक केल्यावर काय झालं कॉपी झालं आणि माझ्या प्रोजेक्टच्या फॉर्म फाईलमध्ये येऊन डिपेंडन्सीज प्रुलरच्या आतमध्ये अनेक वचनीय डिपेंडन्सी त्याच्या आतमध्ये मी हे पेस्ट करतो. म्हणजे या पद्धतीने मी माझी डिपेंडन्सी ऍड करू शकतो फॉर्म फाईलमध्ये. सो इज इट क्लिअर हाऊ टू ऍड सिंगल डिपेंडन्सी अँड मल्टिपल डिपेंडन्सीज विथिन अवर फॉर्म फाईल? कशाची लिंक सेंड करायची सुशांत? That means I'm not understand what link you want. Did you require Maven repository link? Yes, it's a Maven repository. So, okay, so that's a direct link. I'm going to post on chat box. Is it done? Okay, now we need to write a program. But before write a program, I want to ask you how we can write a program. That means, can we use a collection framework to write a program? Or can we use a simple thing that means methods which are perform a single operation using JDBC? Okay. So let's minimize. So that's the JDBC demo. Okay. So let's start to write a program. We are added dependency, right? We are added dependency. We are open our database. Now it's a time to write a program. So here, I want to perform bunch of operations. I want to perform bunch of operations with a database. So the first thing is first, we required to store a database URL, database username, and database password. And that things I make a private static final string URL. So here I'm going to write JDBC colon Postgres SQL colon / localhost. The port number default is a 5432 / my database name. Database name is a test DB. That's a database name. So we need to create that. Okay. After that, the next, let's understand the URL. What is that URL? We are use a JDBC API. So that's why I'm right there JDBC. After colon, I write which database I'm going to use here. I'm going to use a database. That database is a PostgreSQL. If you are use Oracle, then Oracle you need to write there. If you use a MySQL you need to write there. After colon, / is there, and the / holding localhost. That means where we are in where we have that PostgreSQL database, that absolute path I'm going to write there. After that, every a database use their own port number to communicate with the database. So here PostgreSQL use a port number. That port number is a 5432. It's a default port number for PostgreSQL. What's the default port number of PostgreSQL? 5432. After / I write my database name. So my database name is what? TestDB. That's my database name. So that's a URL I'm right for my database. After that, the next thing, every database have a user, right? So user we required, and what's our user? It's a Postgres is our user. Postgres is our user. After that, that user have a specific password. So password, I'm going to write that password is 123 is my password. Okay. So first, I write my URL, username, and password. Hope you understand that things. If you have any question regarding that three statements, you can raise question. Is any question regarding these three statements? Yes, is any question regarding these three statements? Okay, that's good. Now, um, we need to perform bunch of operations, right? That means insert multiple values, delete multiple values, and update multiple values. So for that reason, we required one data class. What we required? One data class. So here I'm going to create one data class, and that class name is a data. That data class holding some fields. That field are private, integer type ID, private, string type name, private, integer type age, private, float type salary, right? So that things I write there. So to initialize that data class object, we require a constructor. So here I'm going to create a constructor of data class. Here I'm going to create constructor of data class. So source, so that constructor are created, right? Once we are create a constructor, to get a data, we require getter method. So we require getter methods only. Select getters. And generate. So here it's a generate getter setter methods, right? So here I create data class. So let's say, can we it's previously we discussed that data class? Yes. Did you understand that class name? What is that data class? It is a POJO, plain old Java object class. Did you remember that things when we are discuss that things when we are learn classes, types of classes? So simply POJO class I created here. Now look here how I can use that POJO class. How I can use that POJO class. But before use that data class, again I explain that things that highlighted a double quote a statement. JDBC is I'm going to use a JDBC API. After colon, PostgreSQL is a database name. After colon, double slash localhost, it's a absolute path where my database are present. After that, colon 5432, it's a port number to communicate with the database. It's a default port number for PostgreSQL. After that, testDB, it's my database name. I need to create testDB database within my database application. So testDB is my database name. Okay. Now, once we are created that all things to represent that data, I can create two string methods. To represent object, I can create two string method. So that's a two string method I created, and it's a represent object data. So once I created that data class, now it's a time to write a code. But how we can write a code? First thing is first, we require to establish and return database connection. For that reason, I create one method here. To establish a connection, I'm going to create one method here. That method is a private. It's a static. It's a return connection object. It's a return connection object from java.sql. Method name is a get connection. Method name is what? Gate connection. It's a throws SQL exception. It's a throws SQL exception. And now I'm going to write the things. It's a return what? Connection object. And connection object always return by one method. That method belongs from driver manager class, and that method name is a gate connection. So return driver manager dot gate connection method. Here we are pass URL, user, and password as the argument of gate connection method. So now we have one object, that object of type connection interface. That object initialized with a driver manager class dot gate connection method. That gate connection holding three parameters: URL, user, and password. So here we are create one object using method. Why we are create that object? Because in any operation we require that object to make a connection. That operation may be update a table, insert a table, retrieve a table. So every time to create that object, I need to create only once. That's why we are use object oriented programming, right? So write once, use everywhere. Okay. Now, once you are create, establish an returns database connection method. After that, the next thing, I need to create a table and database also. Database also, no, database we are use a Postgres. It's the most secure database. So it's not allow us to create a database by program. So we need to create a database manually. So here I'm going to open. Here I am going to open pgadmin. Okay, we have open a server. Within that server, there are a number of database, and we have MyDB, right? MyDB we have. So let's use that MyDB. Instead, create new one. We can use a MyDB. Okay. So here within our program, I just make alteration. Instead testDB, I can use MyDB. So that MyDB I'm going to use here. Okay, MyDB. So currently MyDB have a tables. That tables is orders, users. There are only two tables, orders and users. So we can create a new table, but not right now. We can create new table by program. Okay. So I required to create a new table. And for that reason, I'm going to write one simple method. That method are able to create a new table. Okay. So here I need to write public static void create table, TBL, in short. So I want to create a table by taking a name from user. So it's a string So I can make a different types of table using that string table. So here I'm going to use one SQL query. So I want to make that things dynamic. So string SQL. Okay, string SQL. So here I make a connection, try. So we already make a connection, right? Using MyDB. So let's use that connection. Let's use that connection. So try connection. It's a con object equal to get connection. What's the method? Get connection. That method we are right here, and that method belong from our class because it's a static method. So I can use a class name dot get connection. So it's more readable. Curly bracket and close, and it's catch SQL exception. So I created structure. So I want to create a table, right? And I want to create a table using a connection. So once we are create a table, make a connection, then the next step is what? We need to create a statement. We need to create a statement interface object. So statement statement is an interface. It's a place on java.sql package. Statement dot statement object I need to create stmt. That's object name equal to that object. Allocate a memory using connection object dot create statement method. So it's a return a statement object. So that method return a statement object. So our statement are allocate a memory using that return things from a create statement method. Once we are getting a statement object, now that statement object are able to execute our query. For example, stmt dot execute query method is there. Where what's the method name? Execute. Execute update method is there to execute query. So there are number of execute methods are there, but we are use execute update. That's a SQL I want to execute. It's a return. It's a return the integer value. That means how many rows are affected there, but we are not use that a return type. So that statement object invoke one method. That method name is execute update, and that execute update holding one parameter. That's a SQL. So here our table are created, and we can say sys out. What's the table? TBL. So it's a simple method we are create to create a table, right? So that method, it's a dynamic method. That means we can create any number of column table here. But we required for our only 4 columns there. So let's invoke that table. So to invoke that table, we need to use a class name. Class name dot create table method. It's a holding. The first argument is a table name. So my table name emp detail. That's my table name. emp detail is my table name. And second SQL, which I want to store pass there. It's a SQL. So I need to write SQL. String SQL equal to double quote. I need to create a table, right? So create table if not exist. Exist. Okay, create table if not exist space plus table name. Table name we require one TBL. So here string emp details. That table name we are used here as an argument. Okay, plus that's a table name I want to create. After that, parenthesis. Within that parenthesis, we need to add. Columns. The first column is ID. That's a serial, and it's a primary, right? The second thing, after primary key, we are use comma. And after comma, plus the name. Name is varchar, right? The size is 100, comma, and it's not null. After that, comma, plus the second column is age. Next column, third column, age. It's integer, not null, comma, plus last column is a salary. Not null. And end this statement. Look here, I write one SQL statement. Hope you understand that SQL statement. I write simple one SQL statement there. Hope you understand that SQL statement, right? So let's execute our code. Create table if not exist. Space is there. Yes, space we have. After that, table name. After table name, uh, we have space. Yes, space is there. After that, the plus symbol. After that, my query. Query is for ID, serial spelling is correct, serial, primary key, and com. Right. After that, plus. Next thing, name, varchar 100, not null, comma. Next, age, int, not null, comma. Next, what we have, salary. Salary is column name, decimal type. Decimal into not null. Okay. So our query is correct. Now let's execute and check our table will be create or not. We are executing the Maven application, right? So to execute Maven application, we are added dependencies. That dependency we need to download. So for that reason, I need to build Maven first. So run as. It's only a single time process to build Maven. And how we can build Maven? Just open our JDBC example, right click, run as, Maven build. Within a Maven build, we have goals. That means clean is a method command, clean install. Clean install. That commands we are used within a goal and run it. Once we are done these things, we can get a successful message at our console. So it's successfully downloaded our dependencies. Look here, within Maven dependency, we have PostgreSQL, right? So now it's a time to execute. So right click on our Java code and execute, run as Java application. So it's a throw error. Let's check what's the error. Syntax error at end of input. Position 135. Line number 29 and 20. So let's check what's issues are there. Error at end of input. Maybe there are problem within our SQL query. Yes, problem within our SQL query. So let's check a query. Here write a string query. It's for create table. After that, we have a space. We need to write table name. Table is there. So I remove that extra space. Okay, my query. So it's created our employee details table. Let's check. Refresh tables. And employee details are there. It's holding 4 columns: ID, name, age, and salary. So hope you understand how we can create a one dynamic method to create different columns of table. So here we are created that method. Once we are create that method, now the next thing, I want to insert a data. And to insert a data, I need to write one method. That is a method is a public static void insert table. That's my method name. And this method accept a table name.
Another.
Table name.
आणि वो तिम्हारी हाँ मेन रोड 50 फुट का 100 फीट का रास्ता
अपने को है
50 फीट इधर का भी 50 फीट रास्ता है अभी
Just wait. Just wait. Okay. So let's continue. So now we need to create a method for insert table rows. Huh? So now here I'm going to create a method to insert table rows. That method accept two argument. First one is which table I need to insert. That means in which table I need to insert row. And second argument is a collection object. Collection object, that type of data. That type of data, and we have data class. And name of that object is a data collection. It's a simple. The object name is a data collection. So it's a throws SQL exception. Okay, now here I want to write a query. That query are able to insert rows into table, right? So here I am going to write a query. That's a better. We can use a query within our insert table row. So it's a more dynamic. String query. Okay. That's our insert table row. Let's see how I can write that method. So here, first thing is first, we need to create a connection, right? So we already create connection. Just we need to invoke that method that return connection object. So here we are create connection, right? Once we are create a connection, okay, so that's the throws. So no need to use a catch here. Okay. So once we are create a connection, now we need to insert values, right? Within our table. But if you are use a simple SQL, then the attacker will be inject SQL. So instead, to explode our SQL, we can use parameterize SQL. And for that reason, I'm going to use prepared statement here. Prepared statement is an interface. It's located in java.sql package. The object name is a PSTM, prepared statement. And that object allocate memory using connection object dot get prepared statement. Prepared statement. And here it's a holding query, right? Once it's holding query, after that we need to uh, add a data within that object. Hmm. So how we can add a data within that object? So here I'm going to add for loop data class D object, and I want to iterate over data collection object. Data collection object. Iterate over data collection object. So once we are iterate over data collection object, then I will insert a data using prepared statement. So PSTM dot set int to set integer value within a prepared statement parameterized query. We are use one setter method. That setter method is a set int. It's a set integer value. So set int at the location first of parameterized query. And what we require to set value from d dot get id. D dot get id. So here we are set the value. Okay. The first value we are set. Second value PSTM dot. PSTM second value is a name, right? So name, the data type we are use a string. So PSTM setter method we can use a set a string. Set a string. And it's a parameterized query second. It's a question mark second. And what the things we need to add here? D dot get name. So that things I'm add here. After that, we need to set age. Age is the integer value. So int, it's a third number. And we need to add d dot get age. After that, after salary is there, right? PSTM dot set float. salary is a float type. State float. Fourth number parameter, and it's a D dot get salary. So that things I'm right there. So it's done. It's done. Now that all collection I want to add within my table. So that's why I need to execute that statements, right? But before that, I just added data into my data collection object, and I need to collect it using pstm dot add batch. So add batch method we are used to collect the data. So it's add set of parameters to the prepared statement object batch of commands. After that for is end here. After that, I want to execute my data or query. So that's why the return type array row inserted equal pstm dot execute batch method. I apply there. That method actually execute our query. So here execute batch return the integer value, that's the array. It's showing the rows inserted. That number of rows are inserted. It's a return array type. So we can acknowledge user. That's row inserted dot length. So that number rows are inserted within our table. That's number of rows inserted within our table. Into what's our table name? TBL name. So that's a simple method I write here. So let's invoke that method within our main. So that method is a static method. So first thing is first, I just comment my previous one. Insert table row, right? Insert table row. First one is a table name. Second one is a collection object. So till we are not create any connection object, right? So let's create collection object. So here I'm going to create a collection object before invoke that method. Collection, it's a type of data. That's object name. It's belong from array list. Array list. It's belong from array list. Okay. So once we are create an object, now we need to add a data within that object, right? So how we can add? Data collection, that means object name dot add method is there. That add method holding new object of data class, and that data class constructor is first one is id, right? Id. Second one is what? Name. Third one is age. Fourth one is salary. Okay. Age and salary is a numbers. Next, I need to add some more data within my collection object. Just add 2, 3 data. Okay. Once we are added those data within our collection object, now let's use that collection object here as argument. And now we require a query, right? So it's a SQL. Okay, so that's a SQL. And this SQL I'm going to write here. Insert into, insert into base plus our table name plus the values. And here we are use parameterized query. 4 value we need to insert. So 4 parameter we need to write there question mark, comma, question mark, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that simple query I use there, right? So here, when we are write this query, we are use a question mark. So that question mark indicate we are use a parameterized query, and that parameter we are set using prepared statement setter method, using prepared statement setter method. So that setter method we are right here. Set int, set string, set int, set float. That setter method set that parameter. And now it's a time to execute, but before execute, we are throw SQL exception. So that SQL exception, for that reason, we are surround try with catch. So ID1 already exists. Okay. So we use serial, right? We use serial. So it will be auto increment, but we are write that code. So 2, 3, 4. We are using that things 2, 3, 4. So that's the data. Now let's execute. So that 3 rows were inserted successfully into employee details. Let's check. Open a tool, query tool we required, query tool. Select star from TMP details. So we have data. That's 3 rows are affected. Anirudh, Dinesh, Priyanka. So hope you understand that things. I just posted that code with you on our chat box. If you have any question, you can ask now. So that's our code. Okay, I go through our chat. So what's the chat there? Yes, I will explain that all code again. No problem. What is the difference between statement and prepare statement? Statement are used raw queries, and prepare statement are used parameterized query. That parameter indicate with a question mark. Prepared statement, that question mark we are place set with a setter methods, and that setter method call with a prepared statement object. Sushant are saying we are create a collection object. Collection object generic data. So can we use a constructor of collection? Collection is a interface. So collection cannot initiate itself, right? To initiate collection object, we require memory, which belong from other classes or other methods, right? So that's why we are not use collection constructor directly. Collection object can hold initiate with other classes constructor like a linked list, like array list, like a vector. So here we are using simple array list. So Sushant, is it clear why we are not use a collection constructor? It's a constructor. It's a constructor. That highlighted things are constructor. We are not use a interface constructor. Okay. Next question is what? Okay, Aditya. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So the student, what is the purpose to write code? A database is an application to store a data, right? But we are not provide that application to end user because it's have some complex things. That GUI is not every user are not able to understand that GUI, and it is a there are chances to um, hack our data because username and password we are provide. To avoid that all things, we need to create an application. That application give an interface to user to access the data and retrieve the data and manage the data without knowledge of credentials. So here we are create application to interact with the database. So what's the application we are write here? We are write application to create a table and insert a table rows. So before create a table, what's the things we are write? First, the credential we are write within our class, it's a private, and that private credentials are holding URL, user, and password. It is a private, so due to that private, it's not accessible outside of our class. After that, we have one method. That method name is get connection. This method a return connection object using driver.getManager method. So it's a return connection object, and connection object we required to perform each and every operation. So first operation we are perform, that operation is a create table. So I want to create table dynamically. That means table name I can choose from user. The table string SQL I can choose from user. So that two things I can select from user. So within a try resource block, I create object of connection, and assign a memory for that object using get connection method, which we are right. After that, create a statement object. That statement object are useful to execute our SQL query. So that's why statement object, to allocate a memory for that statement object, we are use connection dot create statement method. We are call that method, and that method returns statement object with a memory. After that, once we are allocate a memory for that interface object, we need to invoke one another method to perform execute a query. So that's why execute update is a method that execute our SQL query. And at the end, we are acknowledge user that table is successfully created. So that's the meaning of our first method, that is a create table. After that, we have second table, the second method, that's insert table row. I want to make that table, make that method dynamic. So I can get a table name from user. What's the data need to place on that table, that data collection object, and after that query. So here we are use a prepared statement. Here we are use a prepared statement. So why we are use a prepared statement? We don't want to use raw query. Raw query, when we are use a raw query, that raw query is holding a string, and that string are expose our data. So that's why we are not use a raw query. Instead that we are use parameterized query. So that's why we are use a prepared statement. Prepared statement is an interface object, and that's initialized with the connection dot prepared statement method. It's holding query. Now it's holding query, but that query having parameters. That parameters indicate with a question mark. So how many parameters are there? 4 parameters are there. That 4 parameter we need to initiate. For that reason, we are use a for each loop. That means a for each loop iterate over data class object, and it's a iterate over data collection with a data class object. And when it's a iterate, I want to insert values within a prepared statement object. So here I inserted value within a prepared statement object to set int. That means set integer value. It's belong from first question mark, and the value we can get from d.getID, that data object. Second value I want to set, that's value is a string type, so that's why set string. It's two are belong from second question mark. It's indicates second question mark, and value I want to get from data class object d.getName, getter method, using getter method. Third value is an integer, so set int is there, and that three are indicate third question mark, and the value we can get from object using d.getAge. Third value is a float. Sorry, fourth value is a float. That 4 number indicate it's a fourth question mark from our query, and we are get a value from our object. After that, that all value I need to bunch within my object. So it's a add batch method I apply there. So that add batch method are added that all values within as a single object within our prepared statement object. Once we are inserted that all things within our prepared statement object. Next, I need to execute that prepared statement query, right? To execute prepared statement query, I use prepared statement object and the method execute batch. So it's a execute that our query. It's a execute that our query, which is a parameterized query. And that parameterized query now added that all things set integer, set string, set int, set float, and it's a return array. It's a return array. So when I measure that array length, we can get that number of rows inserted successfully into table name. So that's the explanation of our code. So I hope you understand these things. Is any other question? So once we are insert, now let's retry. To retry that all data, to retrieve that all data, we can use one another method. That method name is read all rows. So here I'm going to write that method read all rows. We need to read all rows from table, right? So I'm using a list interface. It's generic is a data. That's a return type. That's a return type. A method name is read all rows. So first one is a table. Second one is a query. Okay. So I need to write this method. So let's understand first signature of this method. So look here, that method is a public static. That means it's a pre-allocated memory. It's a return list object. It's return a list object, but that list is generic of data class. The method name is a read all rows. That method holding two parameter. One is a table, second one is a SQL. One is a table, second one is a SQL. So here, uh, I need to return list, right? So that's why the first I need to create object of list. The object of list is a dlist. Dlist equal to initiate with a new keyword, and we are use its array list. Array list. Okay, so we are created one object. One object that belong from array list. Once we are create that object, now let's use a try block. Within a try, let's create a connection. Get connection method, curly bracket and close. It's a catch SQL exception. And within that try, we need to get all data, right? But to get all data, first thing is first, we need to make connection. So here at line number 47, we are making a connection. Once we are make a connection, then we need to create the object. That object are execute our query. That object are execute our query. So here we are going to use statement object. But prepared statement is more easiest or more meaningful. So instead statement, we can use a prepared statement. Prepared statement. PSTN equal to connection dot prepared statement. It's execute query. After that, we need to execute query. So to store that result, we require one more object that's belong from result set interface. Result set interface. Object name is RS PSTN dot execute query. So it's a return result set object. And once we are collect that all queries within our result set object, now it's a time to execute. That means retrieve our query to display. If you want to use a statement, then you can go with the statement, but statement are not used prepared statement. It's a connection dot create statement. Once you are created statement, then you need to execute your query. That is a SQL. So only that changes are required when you are use a statement. But prepared statement is more meaningful. Okay. So that three objects we are open here. So we need to close. So I don't want to close it. So I'm going to use it here within try and catch block. Okay. So that's a try with resource. Now I want to execute my rows details. So why I need to display it. The result set object dot next. That means if it is a true, that next line is there, then I want to print. I want to initiate data object equal to new data, and it's a constructor. That constructor I'm going to initiate rs dot get int. Okay, we are use getter method, right? So that's why I just make a changes. Okay, so here we need to get a data. So data new data rs dot get int, and it's a get int from column id. Okay, next we need what's the next? It's a name, right? So rs dot get string. We are get a data from rs object, and it's belong from a column name, comma next is what? Age, right? rs dot get age, get string. Age is the integer, right? Get int, and it's a from column age, comma last column is what? rs dot get float, and the column is salary, right? So just we are initiate our constructor, and once we are initiate our constructor, now let's add those data within our data list. The list, right? The list dot add, and what's the object? I want to add data, and at the end, let's return it. Return the list. Close. Okay, so that's close. So we are return that data. Okay. Now, let's retrieve and display that data. Okay, that query I am right here. And now it's the time to execute our method. The method name, read all rows. That method return a collection object, right? So I need to create one collection object first. So that's a collection object. It's read all rows, and parameter. First one is a table name, and second one is a query. So data. Now we are collected data within a users, right? Let's execute. It's not showing data. Why it's not showing data? Because we are not iterate over object. So emp dot for each, and here we are iterate over a object and print that data, which is t dot out dot println. So I want to print that data. So now let's say. So that data are printed here with all details. So again, I'm going to post that all code with you on our chat box. Please review your code. Please check that code. So I hope you understand how to get insert a data using collection framework, how we can retrieve our data using collection framework. If you have any question, you can ask. If you have any question, you can ask. If you are not have any question, I'm going to end this meeting here. So see you tomorrow and discuss more things about JDBC. So thank you very much to attend this class. I'm going to end this meeting here. Thank you very much.